Arr, 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 arr. Can you hear me now? I'm wearing my little earphones and my mic here. Mic on the mic. Yeah, you can warm me up.
I got it.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. I'm at one of my breakfast spots here. And they got pretty good Wi-Fi and the light is good. I'm wearing my Ben Franklin glasses, the Dollar Tree version. So last night we had a really nice chat, and I would say, hey, Twitchy, it would behoove all you to start going back and looking at some of these, especially in the last 10 or 20, because since I've been doing them twice a day since mid-October, and the ones before that, came from the deep green, and they have their own, as I said last night, each of these are a shamanic ceremony, energetic. And last night was definitely a good example of that. So after we left the site, and I kind of brushed my teeth and got ready to go to bed, I went to sleep, and I kind of prepared my psyche to go into dreamy dreamland instead of just going, and I did. And there were many of you there, and many faces. And I felt like Professor Xavier in X-Men, in his wheelchair, and he goes into the big globe and he puts on the headrest, and he can talk to all of, or see all the mutants. And I would say that we are all mutants, right? And if you look at psychology today, back in the day, Freud, you go further back and you see the folks in the Newtonian age, and then you go back, whoops, oh, we only need one, Oh. And I only need one earring. I probably don't, because I'm not hearing you guys, but you're hearing me through that. Anyway, and you go back to the Greeks. What was that? Top of the yawning to horrible. Okay. So you guys hear me okay? Is this little microphone working good? Or should I go just back to the phone? Anyway, I'm trying to get the best vocal I can for you. Oh, that'd be nice. Thank you. Nice and clear. Good. So I was with all you guys in a superconscious mind, and we were discussing, what are we doing here? What's this about? So, and we kind of, or my subconscious, along with you guys, came to a kind of point of view where it's kind of either or. We're either some kind of Newtonian machine, right? And it's all a roulette wheel of chance, of evolution, or it's about consciousness, and we're ascending into it, right? And our little bags of water are just the avatar, and this seeming reality, good morning to you all, is just a sandbox to play in. So when I, back in the day, was, going to a seminary and then in a Lubavitcher, one of the big questions, because I wasn't in the politics of religion. I was in the theology of religion, right? And I, the major question is if God is, all seeing, all knowing, all loving, is the big daddy in the sky, taking care of things for us, then why does life suck? You know? So then, the Newtonian dudes came and said, well, it's because it's just a roulette wheel, right? Everything is chance. And the church let that go down because they owned your soul and made you pay rent. And science was a nice hedge for them to confuse the masses, And even, see, the real thing is that we live in a stratist experience of distraction. You have the king or the owner, the management class, the duke, the earl, the sheriff, the worker drones, who are like the carpenters, the craftsmen. They belong to guilds and, are masons and things like that. And then there's the expendables, all the folks who are the useless eaters. And when they're young, they do menial jobs or work on the farm or, go throw themselves into the meat grinder of war, right? Which is just a banking ploy, right? Or we actually choose the lives that we come into. And we're here to learn things because, and that's why the experience of UFOs are really, really interesting, because that is the one little gateway that's outside of the little play that's put out about, oh, it's just a roulette wheel, or, oh, you have to trust in God, And whereas the, the ET experience is a doorway. And, I've talked to a lot of folk who have been abducted, and I myself have been contacted, right? And right there is the choice: abducted or contacted. Abducted, they take you away, and you seemingly have no choice. You float through the window, up into the thing. You're on their table. They're probing you, poking you, and you're scared out of your mind. Well, the first time I was contacted, and not by someone who looked like me, but someone who looked like, a 12-foot, grasshopper, and he talked to me in my mind. Now, I could have been, where a lot of people are, all those little children's stories of going bump in the night, the fairies, the gremlins, the leprechauns. These are all that experience put into the context, meaning those folks come from somewhere else and they realize, well, they're not going to relate to us. And I have a strong feeling that these guys don't come here physically. When you start looking at string theory and you start looking at modern physics, past Einstein's stuff, you realize that time and space are not linear, and we can do anything we want. We just have to put it forth. So when I first was contacted, instead of freaking out, because my grandma, told me, monsters can't stand, bad jokes or tying their red sneakers together. I had a sense of, okay, and I was armed with the Lord's Prayer, which is a great sitchin. This is one prayer that hasn't been sold to us. And I started asking questions, and that's kind of, the little guy with a turban turned me on to meditation. But once I started to practice breathing 20% in, 30% out, I realized that it was exactly like my daydreams, where I saw all kinds of amazing things, right? And that's when I realized, oh, wow, these things aren't separate. Everything's connected. And see, that is part of the illusion that we're stuck in, is that we are, in a separated world. Okay, let's read some of your, let's see, nice and clear. Good morning. What's your concept on supermind? Well, I think we're talking about it right here, right now. That is like we're looking at it as either the roulette wheel of chance or, the total connected of the link, the collective unconscious, the Akashic record. Let's see. C.S. Lewis, Problem of Pain. Best book of that question in my. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. C.S. Lewis, Problem of. Okay, I'm gonna go to the library and read that. Let's see. We're becoming. I think I have to put my bifocals on. Okay, thanks. We're bringing into question the experience that's brought us to this point. The mind is the seat of the limited ego, and that ego is the seat of the distraction. Exactly. I couldn't put it any better, Jamie. You are the dude at dude. God was all forgiving. God make you burn in hell. Exactamundo, bud. Yes, Carl Jung and Terence McKenna thought the same. Yep. Let's see. Stay at that. That's a good question, bud. They stare at you. Yep. Yes, I did, my sweet. Yep. Thank you, darling. Okay.
Hot warm stuff to warm up your belly.
Yeah, baby.
There you go.
Oh, could I have some tools?
Yeah, what happened to your tools?
I don't know.
Got no tools.
No tools. See, here's my breakfast. A little white, Thank you, sweetheart. You are the best.
Thank you.
Okay. There we are. Anyway, let's see.
So it works better for me to be able to pay monthly and then
Okay.
I can get other stuff included.
There we go. So where are we? Let's see. Good question.
I mean, I do get some vaccines and CCP is cheap, and I get this allergy medicine because it's cheaper. But
Heaven and hell, I think, are right here, right now. I mean, if you were in Aleppo when ISIS was there, that was hell. If you were anywhere in Syria during this war, that's hell. You're in Yemen getting bombed by the Saudi Arabians and the American, that's hell. If you are in a place where you're awake and you're making choices, like me. I mean, people look at me, I'm a homeless guy, but I'm in heaven. I'm talking to you guys, and I always seem to have a place that takes care of me, They're in purgatory, yep, right, well. And see, that's the problem. It's a procession of of coincidences. Elvis costume, yes, I wore that before. But just because we choose to put on the Elvis costume or the makeup or the beard or whatever, and don't judge me. Real question is reincarnation. right? If we have reincarnation, we have many, many. That's why then God's okay, because we have chance after chance after chance of going there. And if we make those little baby steps and are conscious when this occurs and just not let, Dharma pick what's going on. Like the other day, I was driving and I was unconscious, and I go the same way to places all the time. So I go on automatic pilot. And I kind of went down this road, and 1,000 times I make the left turn. Well, I didn't, I went, down this other road. Now, I know what roads, and I could have stayed on that road and gone out another place and going to where I was going, but it wasn't the same way. It wasn't the pattern. Time after time. So I find a place I can turn around, I go back and I make the turn, and I go down the road that I go on time after time after time after time, and I get a speeding ticket. So that right there is like, to me, hey, wake up, moron, I should have just kept going on the road I was, even though it wasn't the same road time after time after time, it was a different choice. And if I had, I wouldn't have got that, this thing's going to, I don't know, cost me somewhere between $60 and $300, which I don't have. But what will happen is as I navigate this, I will meet people. I will change them. I will say a few things. I'll be that pet when I go to court, all those kind of things. And that's the choice I made way back. Everything that goes on in my life, it's been a choice. Instead of going, oh, why me? I try to learn from everything that happened, right? Instead of living by dogma. Right? Brandon, I thought you were a scientist totally controlled by the dogma of science, But I agree with the Gospel of Thomas that the kingdom of heaven is in earth, but men do not see it. Okay, so you're just being a good scholar. Okay. Yes, Buddy keeps us straight. Keeps us on the path. He's the helmsman, the coyote. Whoops.
It's going to take them a while. Steve, they're smart, right? Steve puts down little rugs. So I took the rug off. And Lily, she's very nosy. She wants to know what's going on.
Let's see. This is true, but those books are code books, And if we can study them, we can learn things. The thing is not to look at them as a dogma. Oh, I'm going to do everything this book says. It's the Word of God. No, it's a good code book.
Yeah.
Buddy.
See, my cat,
Breakfast.
I put out, little scratchy things. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, I put it all over the house. And then downstairs, Steve, he does demolition, so he'll find stuff. He got this carpet, they did something.
Okay, Jim.
He got these carpets.
Oh, you're all leaving me?
In her outdoor carpet, she gets on that desert call, she loves it. That's what these are kind of like. Well, they're about like that.
Yep.
But my laundry.
24 karat gold.
So I put them in there.
You have to.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So I do that.
If you're going to be in this mud puppet illusion reality, you can choose to have a few nice things, right? A breakfast 3 or 4 times a week. I mean, it's really one of the only places I can talk to you guys, right? And I'm surrounded by sneezing people. Okay.
Are you serious? It's not. I don't and Steve could probably do the Bella from the like I was trying to like her nails are long. You guys are like that. Grow really fast. But
Okay, Mr. Forever, I'll call you,
they always do.
you know, around 12 or 1 or something like that.
Have you ever seen your pet that like the nails?
Yes. I mean, there are many people who were in Auschwitz who were in heaven, meaning they wrote books, they wrote symphonies, you know, they designed things, plus they didn't let their bag of water get the best of them, right? And most people who invented things, did things, created things, they were all in their higher consciousness, right? Einstein, Tesla, Madame Curie. I mean, I could go on. Virtually everyone who's, you know. Hey, sis, can I call you back? Okay.
And I can never figure out which one.
Hey, we back here? We still here? Twitchy.
So I was continuing it's not.
So everyone's going off to work or doing something. That's good. Let's see, buddy. Twitchy. Are we still here? Yep, I'm good. Yep, I'm good. So, there we go. So, that is like one of our little tasks. We as the miners of consciousness is to work together to bring the energy to all our relations, that everyone can be in their higher self. Because when that happens, that's when we have peace on earth. That's when things, you know, in the Bible, when the lions lay down with lambs, the whole ball of wax. So that's where we're going, and I would love it. I'm going to go off and think about it and finish my breakfast and I'll call you back, right? So we're 23 minutes into this. Maybe in about 30 minutes I'll try to get back online, and I'll have finished my breakfast. Most of these people will have moved out of here, and I can, you know. But we started out good. Everybody who wants to come on back in about a half an hour or so, think about this whole thing of what we're experiencing, how we choose it, and what are the strategies? Yo, darling.
Yeah, that's funny.
And keep an eye on that for me, please. Thank you. Anyway, so I'm gonna click off and finish breakfast and drink my coffee, and I'll talk to you guys when this place quiets down. Okay, love you guys. Talk to you in a little bit.